Michael Franzese is the former capo in the Colombo crime family and author of the book From the Godfather to God the Father. And he joins me again live on the program. Michael, it's good to have you back on the show. I can't hear enough of that interview. It is so awesome. How did you land it?
Well, you know, a good friend of mine, Mike Caporelli, he's a research psychologist, and he went to visit David. He actually wrote a book, Monster Mirror, I think was featured on Netflix. He spent about 100 hours with him just talking about his crime, his emotional state, and all of that. And during that conversation, David told him that he knew of me, and that he read my book, Blood Covenant, many years ago, and he had become a person of faith. And he said he would love to sit down with me if he ever had the opportunity to do so. So Mike called me and I said, yeah, let's make it happen. And so that's how we got together.
So during the interview, Berkowitz says that he was traumatized by demons since he was a kid. I want to play that clip and ask you about it on the other side. Take a look.
I feel I was really traumatized by demons since I was a child. And I've gotten so much evidence of this over the years. After I became a Christian, I didn't understand it back then, but the Lord opened up my eyes years later to see all of these different events that kind of gelled together to cause this to happen. And I always had a fascination with like the darkness. I would just say some prayers and make promises to the devil. I came under some strange teachings which talked about the end of the world, and we have to do our part to bring in the end of the world, to set up the new millennium. It was just a bunch of satanic. By this time, I was about 22.
Michael, he talks a lot about, darkness and blaming the devil, but did you get a sense that almost half a century locked up has changed him, that he's a different person, that he makes sense, that he's not the absolute, Looney Tune that he was when they arrested him?
Well, I have to say this, I do believe that he's not doing this for any other reason other than he's trying to explain himself a little bit. He did say to me, Michael, I know I'm never getting out. I'm never going to get parole. He said, I don't deserve parole. As a matter of fact, he had stopped going to the parole board and they told him, no, you need to go. Just you have to show up. It'll be worse for you. So he shows up just because he has to show up, but he knows he's never coming out. I think he was very honest with me. I happen to believe him. He just laid it all on the table. We spent several hours together. He told me, I said, David, what kind of childhood did you have? And he said, look, it was pretty normal. He was adopted. His parents were good to him. He found out later on, he was told, this is one thing that really troubled me. He was told all the while that his mother and father, his real mother and father, were dead. They didn't exist any longer. And then they told him that for a long time. And then later on, they told him, well, we didn't tell you the truth. Your mom is really alive. And then he tried to reach out and reach his mother. And then he tried to reach his father. And some things really troubled him about that. So the bottom line, and I can't get into all the interview, you have it, but I believe that he was very sincere. He's become a person of faith. He actually does Bible studies in there with inmates every week. He gets hundreds of letters every week from people that he tries to discourage, who are thinking about doing some of the things that he did. It was quite scary when he told me that. Yeah, he said he gets,
wow,
Michael,
that's something.
I know. He said, I get hundreds of letters and I try to discourage these people from doing anything crazy like I did. But yeah, he did tell me he was into devil worship at one time and Satanism. He did meet up with a couple of people that were into that. It did take a hold of him for a while. That's why he was saying, his dog was possessed. And it was a crazy conversation. I had never spoken to anybody like that before. And I met a lot of, different people on the street. Let's put it that way. But, the bottom line, yeah, I believe,
to say the least.
Yeah, I believe he's sincere.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.